Hi, everyone. This is Reverend Shae Moyers coming back at you from Phoenix Coaching and Consulting, and wanted to get back with you regarding our energetic forecasts that we've been doing on a weekly basis. We're going to start going about every 10 days just because the energy right now is moving so quickly that it's really hard to keep up at times with everything that's going on, and I want to make sure that, we're in step with what's happening with on the planet. So right now there's a lot of, as one of my friends put it, there's a lot of folks leaving the planet. We've recently celebrated Muhammad Ali's passing day before yesterday, and just in my own personal life, there are people around me that have made their transition within the past 24 hours. So the veil is pretty thin, which is pretty normal around this time of year. But what we're being asked is to reflect, and to reflect on those who have influenced us from a teacher standpoint. I was recently talking with my master students class earlier this week about who were our greatest teachers, spiritually, emotionally, professionally. And many of them shared stories about people in their lives that had caused them pain, but they had also taught them some of the biggest lessons in their life. Many people think that spiritual experiences have to be some kind of, spiritual vision quest or things like that. But what I always tell my students and I tell my clients is that the greatest spiritual experiences we have are life. Those very hard reality checks or those moments of great joy. And right now, a lot of us are coming up short on some areas we thought that we had gone back and healed and come to terms with, and suddenly out of left field your past comes back to stare you in the face. And that can be upsetting to a lot of folks. It can bring on challenges. It can bring on feeling like you've stepped back about 30 yards. And what I'm here to tell you is that this is part of the process right now. We're shedding the old, bringing in the new, and it's a complicated process. It's happening at the same time. So just as quickly as you let go of something else comes up or something else comes in. So maybe you're dealing with establishing a new relationship with someone, and all of a sudden your ex pops up out of the blue right in the middle of when you're supposed to be really happy and on this relationship energetic high, and someone from your past comes in and maybe they remind you of not so good times, or someone that you have outgrown or used to be and have maybe on some level rejected. So what I'm going to encourage you to do over the next week is to look at those places. Look at those places that you've been maybe wounded and that you want closure on. You want to shut the door on it once and for all. You're not limited by experience. You're only limited by the level of engagement that you put in retelling that story every day, or what you have come to believe about yourself, those limiting beliefs that maybe, you're not supposed to be where you're at. You're not supposed to be happy or prosperous or abundant. And what you're doing is just reintroducing that lack energy back in. And I'm going to just tell you at this moment, stop it. Just stop. We're all in for a hard reality check. I am personally infuriated by what happened earlier this week when that ex-Stanford swimmer was sentenced to 6 months for sexually violating another human being. I cannot tell you how enraged that makes me, and where I think that our society and our justice system is not only failing women like me, but society as a whole, and where have our values gone? And so as we kind of churn and burn with this, many of us have to step up and say, you know what? No more. To quote Summer Osborne, no more. We're not doing this anymore. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to tell my story. I'm not going to repeat the negative things because, number one, I don't want to hear it. And number two, probably a lot of other folks don't want to hear it. But at the same time, it doesn't change what happened. You're the only one that can change what happens to you. You control what happens to you, your experience. And if you turn around and you look it in the face and you say, you know what, I'm done. You can keep trying to come back at me and knock me down and keep going, but understand this. I'm stronger than those damn voices that keep telling me that I can't do something. My philosophy is that when I hear those, all that does is it makes me go harder. It makes me stronger, and it makes me really, really mad, so that it makes me want to fight like hell to prove, number one, those voices wrong. And so I'm going to encourage you to be a warrior. Do not be afraid to face those things that you've been running from. They're not as scary as you think they are. They're just merely either voices in your head, lies that someone is telling you because they are on some level jealous of what you have or who you are or where you're going. They may want something that you have and they can't get it for themselves, so their job was to cut you down. Those people are not worth your time. They're not worth your energy. Situations. Are you feeling like your job is a dead end? Or that every time that you walk in that door, you just really don't want to be there? Take a look at that. Are you surviving or are you thriving? And last but not least, don't settle. And understand that as you work through all of this and as you become, an ascending master, as one of my friends said to me the other day, this is not easy work. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's not easy work. And it's hard. And when many years ago, when I decided to go to ministerial school, I left the Catholic Church. And my grandmother-in-law, Mildred Smith, was one of the few people that really supported me in my journey. We disagreed on many things regarding religion. I was following a different path than her, but she recognized the divinity in me the same way that I recognized the divinity in her. And she was family. And one of probably the most educated spiritual people of faith I have ever met in my life. And this woman had a story to tell. And I'm going to leave that for her to share at some point. But she lived. And sometimes her life was not always easy. She busted barriers. She had people say that she couldn't do something. She lived in circumstances that were extremely difficult. But through it all, this woman kept on going. And I remember the day that I stood in front of her and I said that I was going to align myself and be of service. She looked at me and she said, Shae, that is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life, is to stick to this path. But she said, whatever you do, you get knocked down, you keep on walking. I remember that when I'm dealing with clients or I'm dealing with a situation. And this beautiful woman made her transition last night. I was honored to have her in my life for a relatively short period of time. But her words and her vision and her ability to break down walls and barriers has left an indelible stamp on me that will last with me for the rest of my life. So I'm going to encourage you to look at those people, good, bad, or indifferent. But are you doing them justice? Are you doing yourself justice? And so wrapping up this energy forecast, be radiant, be a warrior, be a badass, be a phoenix. But most of all, do you in the best way you know how. Nobody's going to tell you different. You may fall down, you may make a complete fool out of yourself, you may get a little bit bloody, But understand, at the end of the day, you're going to get up, you're going to dust that stuff off, you're going to keep on walking. So please know that I am rooting for you. We are holding space for you. And if you are interested in talking with me face to face, or having a private session, or attending one of our events for Phoenix, please check out our Phoenix page, Phoenix Coach Consult on Facebook. You can reach me at phoenixcoachconsult@gmail.com or via Facebook Messenger. And I wish you a fantastic weekend and many, many blessings. And keep your chin up. Keep on fighting. Be radiant. Be a phoenix. I'll talk to you soon.